Let me tell you a story. Not the kind with dragons or fairy tales, but one about something that quietly, powerfully shapes every single day of your life. It's a story about how what we think becomes what we live. A few years ago, I was going through a really difficult phase. Work felt overwhelming. Relationships were tense. I kept getting sick, and I couldn't shake off the feeling that life was just stuck. Like I was in this loop I couldn't get out of. Then one evening I caught up with an old friend. His name was David. David had this calm, grounded presence. You know the type. He wasn't loud or flashy, but when he spoke you listened. We were sitting outside a little cafe on a quiet street, and as I started venting about everything going wrong, he just sat there, listening patiently. When I was done, he leaned back and said, "I want to share something with you. It changed the way I look at everything." He told me about something called the law of attraction. Now, I'd heard the phrase before, maybe in passing. I thought it was one of those feel-good ideas people tossed around without much weight. But what David said next really landed. He said, the law of attraction is simple. It means what you focus on, you get more of. In other words, that which is like unto itself is drawn. Thoughts attract more thoughts like themselves. And that's not just philosophy, it's momentum. He could see I was intrigued, so he continued. Say you wake up in a bad mood. You spill your coffee. You're annoyed. Then you miss the bus. You snap at someone. Your mind starts collecting reasons to stay frustrated. It starts stacking evidence. Why is my life like this? Nothing ever goes right. Sound familiar? I laughed because, it sounded very familiar. That's not just coincidence, he said. That's thought in motion. That's the law of attraction doing exactly what it does, pulling in more of the same. When you focus on what's wrong, your mind brings you more to feel wrong about. It pulls from your past, too. Suddenly, you're thinking about something that upset you 5 years ago. Why? Because that old memory matches the feeling you're in now. Your thoughts are calling for reinforcement, and the universe obliges. It gave me chills. Because he was right. That's exactly how it felt. Like once I got caught in a negative spiral, I couldn't stop it. Then David said something I'll never forget. The law works both ways. It doesn't just respond to negative thoughts. It responds to any dominant thought. So if you shift your focus, even slightly, towards something that feels a bit better, you start building a new kind of momentum, one that moves you forward instead of holding you back. I asked, but what if you're in the middle of something hard, like really hard? What if you're sick, or broke, or heartbroken? How do you just stop thinking about it? He nodded. That's the most common question. And here's the truth. It's not about pretending your problems don't exist. It's about not feeding them more energy than they already have. You don't have to deny your reality. You just have to realize that your reality isn't fixed. It's responding to the vibration you're offering right now. Now I know, vibration might sound a little abstract, but think of it like emotional tone. If your dominant emotional tone is anger or worry or fear, that becomes your signal. And that's what you start tuning into in life. You'll notice more of it. You'll attract conversations, situations, and even people who echo that energy. David explained it like this. Your current situation is like a radio station. You're tuned in to a certain frequency. If you want to hear a different kind of music, you don't beg the station to change, you change the dial. And in the same way, if you want different experiences, you've got to start offering a different frequency through your thoughts. I asked him, so what do you do in that moment? When you're stuck, how do you shift that focus? He smiled and said, you start telling a different story, not the story of what's gone wrong, but the story of what could go right. You talk less about the problem and more about the possibility. He gave an example. Let's say someone's sick, and all day they think, I feel awful, why can't I get better? They research symptoms, they talk about it. Their whole mental environment is filled with sickness. Even if they're taking medicine, their dominant signal is still one of illness. And the law of attraction doesn't care about your medication, it cares about your vibration. But if that same person, even just for a few minutes, starts focusing on moments they felt healthy or imagines how they'll feel when they do get better, they begin to offer a different signal. It might feel fake at first, but it's not about lying. It's about choosing the direction of your energy. He paused for a moment, then added something really powerful. We're not asking you to leap from despair to joy in one go. That's unrealistic. But if you're in despair, can you reach for anger? If you're in anger, can you reach for frustration, then irritation, then hope? Every little shift matters. Every new thought is a step toward a better story. He called it emotional stepping stones, and that idea changed everything for me. From that day on, I started practicing. I didn't wait for life to hand me joy. I reached for it in my thoughts. I caught myself when I was spiraling. I started saying, okay, this is the story I've been telling, but what's the story I want to live? And I began telling that instead. Sometimes quietly in my mind, sometimes out loud. Sometimes it felt silly, but over time it worked. I felt lighter. I attracted better conversations. Opportunities showed up out of nowhere. My health improved. My relationships softened. And none of it happened overnight. But it happened because I changed my thought pattern, which changed my emotional tone, which changed my vibration. And the law of attraction responded. So if you're listening to this and thinking, but my situation is different, my life is really hard right now, I hear you. I've been there. So had David. This isn't about ignoring your pain. It's about recognizing your power, the power to choose your focus and thereby shape your future. Here's what I want you to remember. Thoughts have momentum. What you focus on, you feed. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start reaching for better feeling thoughts. And most importantly, tell the story you want to live. Because the more you tell it, the more you begin to believe it. And the more you believe it, the more life starts reflecting it back to you. Just like David told me that day at the cafe. Your story isn't fixed. You're the author. You can edit it at any time. So, what story will you tell today?